Hello everyone, this is section 2 of our class titled Making Docker Images Work for You. This is an introduction. A Docker image, as you probably know, is the basis on which we can create containers. They are built using Docker files, although you can just pull an image and run a container out of it without having to use a Docker file. But the most prominent case is using a Docker file. And when you do so, Docker files can get large, hard to maintain. The image itself can get bulky and accordingly takes a considerably long time to get downloaded. So what are we going to cover in this section? In the first lesson, we're going to have a look at the add directive or the add command and how it is different from the copy directive, which is very similar but with some subtle differences that we're going to have a look at. Then we're going to have a look at the image cache, when to use it, when not to use it, and how to tell Docker that you don't want to use the cache. Finally, we are going to have a look at how to minimize the image size and also the Docker file size, and we're going to have a very interesting example in which we are going to create a fully functional API using only 2 lines of Docker code. In this video, we are going to learn how to use the add directive and the difference between the add command and the copy command. Alright, so in this lesson we are going to have a look at the add directive and the difference between the add and the copy directives. So let's have a very quick example in case you are not aware of the function of the copy directive. Let's say that we are going to create a file containing this phrase. This is a sample file, obviously. So we are going to create a Docker file, choose a relatively small image, let's say the Alpine. Then we need to copy this file, so we're going to use the copy directive. We're going to copy sample.txt inside the image in a file that is called with the same name, sample.txt, under root. And that's it. Now let's use the Docker command. We're going to have to use sudo. Let's tag this sample, okay, and give it the current directory as the build source. So it's going to quickly pull the Alpine image and build our sample image. Now let's run a container out of it. Basically, I am running a container out of the image that is called sample, and I am using bash as the command that I want to use to run this container, and I'm using -it to give me an interactive session with the container. Let's hit enter, and okay, and since this is the Alpine image, it doesn't have bash installed, so I'm going to use the normal Bourne shell, and we are inside. If I issue cat sample.txt, I'm going to find that my file is there. This is a sample file. So this is basically how the copy command works. What if you want to add a number of files inside your container? So let's this time create a directory. Let's call it my files. Let's get inside. And let's say that I have a bunch of files that are compressed in a tar archive. So I'm going to simulate this quickly. With this very simple for loop, I have created 9 files. Each one is a number from 1 to 9. And inside each one, I just added a very simple text file, then the number of that file. Now I'm going to tar them using the tar command. In addition to the 9 files, I have my files.tar. Now let's remove our .txt files. Don't need them anymore. We are only left now with my files.tar. Now let's get the Docker file that we were using from the parent directory. Let's get inside. And now if I use the copy command as it is, I can replace this line with this. Like that, and I'm gonna copy my files.tar to the root directory, and then perhaps I can run another command like this, tar xf my files.tar, and perhaps give it a destination directory. But this is going to add an additional command to your Docker file, and according to Docker best practices, you have to keep your Docker file as small as possible, because each line you add to your Docker file, each command you add to your Docker file means another layer added to your image, which means that your image is going to get larger and, of course, takes longer to download, harder to maintain, and so on. So For this specific situation, I can use the add directive. And what the add directive is going to do is that it is going to untar those files automatically and add them to the target directory. So I can add my files like this, for example, and the add command is going to gracefully copy my files.tar first to the image, uncompress the file, spreading all the files inside a new directory that is going to create my files, and that's it. Everything is going to be done for me automatically. So let's save it, and let's run docker build -t. Let's call this my files. Give it the target directory as the build source. Okay, let's clear the screen, and I should use sudo. Alright, and now I have an image that is called my files. That has been added. Let's try to run a container out of this image. And if I go inside my files, as you can see, the directory has been created for me. If I ls inside it, I'm going to find that I have my 9 files neatly placed there, and each one of them is having the content that I have added. So as you can see here, the add command or directive has saved you a lot of typing, and it's not only saving you effort, but it's also minimizing the image size as much as possible. Let's exit. And if you have a look at the Docker file, just want to show you something before we leave this. Notice here that I have intentionally added a trailing slash at the end of the destination directory. This informs add that I want to deploy the contents of my files.tar under a directory that is called my files, and if I remove this trailing slash, the add command may behave differently because it may infer that you want to place my files.tar as a directory, as a file that is called /myfiles. Okay, so make sure that you always add the trailing slash if you want add to untar and deploy the files inside your archive to the destination directory. Now, the add command has another trick that you can use, which is that it can also download files off the internet. So let's say that you are deploying WordPress. So let's get outside. Let's create a new directory for our new image. Let's call it my WordPress. Let's get inside, and let's copy the Docker file over from our previous directory. My files, Docker file, let's get it here. Let's open it. And let's say that you want to download the tar.gz file of the latest WordPress located at this URL. Okay, so this URL is going to give you the latest version of WordPress in a tar.gz format. So, again, if you want to download it the old way, you can issue a command like this, run wget, and then you download this somewhere, let's say temp. I'm gonna have to set the work dir to be temp. Then you download it, then you untar it, and of course if wget is not installed already, you will have to do that. So you're gonna have to run an additional command here like apk add wget. So have a look here at the number of lines that we have, 1, 2, 3, and 4, only for downloading WordPress latest and untarring it. But with add, we can remove this one and this one as well. Just add. I'm not going to use wget. It is going to download this file automatically from wordpress.org, and it's going to place it whichever directory you instruct it to. So let's say for www HTML, for example, assuming that we are going to put it in the default directory for Apache. And please note here that I am not actually installing WordPress because I haven't installed Apache or any web server of any type. I didn't install PHP. I'm just demonstrating here the specific situation of downloading a file off the internet and having to place it in a target directory. This is not a WordPress installation. Later in this class, we're gonna have a lab where we're gonna install a real-world WordPress environment, and we're gonna see how we can do that using Docker. But for this specific example, I'm just demonstrating how we can download files off the internet automatically, saving our Docker file a few lines. That is going to decrease the image size as much as possible. So again, we are going to use the add command to download this tar.gz file to var www.html, and then I'm going to untar it here. And you might be asking, why do I still need to untar the image? I'm going to answer this question by practically building the image. Let's give it a name, my WordPress, and the current directory. Notice here that the add command has downloaded the file. It was 10.65 megabytes. It has been downloaded from the internet, from wordpress.org. Let's clear the screen and let's run a container out of this image, my WordPress sh. Now, if you go to /var, you're going to see that we have www.html. It's been automatically created for us. But if we ls inside this directory, you're going to see that latest tar.gz has been downloaded, yes, but it has not been untarred. It has not been uncompressed. That is because add falls short when it downloads files off the internet. It does not automatically untar or uncompress those files. It just downloads them and places them in your destination directory. However, we still have, let's have a look at the Docker file, we still have saved ourselves one or more lines of code. Remember, we had to install the wget command here to be used inside the image, and we were going to have to create the target directory /var/dub/html. So we're going to have here a new line that is going to create this directory, and then we are going to have a third line that is going to set the working directory to this. By using the add command, although we are going to use the untar command again to compress the downloaded file, but we have saved ourselves a few lines of code. Always remember, the smaller your Docker file, the smaller your image, and the easier it is to maintain. Alright, so by the end of this lesson, I hope you had a clearer understanding of the add directive, how it is different than the copy directive, and when are the best use cases for it.